All right, everyone. Um, Welcome, Tommy, and Happy New Year, of course.
Thank you. Likewise, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
So today we have an extra bonus episode, and this time it's going to be of Star Trek: Deep Space Nine.
Check these face nine. Yes.
Yeah, we always had. You always said it's gonna be a long one because I love Deep Space Nine.
Yes, yes. The greatest of Star Treks. Yes.
So enlighten us why is Deep Space Nine so favorite of yours?
Okay. I'm gonna set the obvious answer aside. We'll set the number one answer aside, which is Avery Brooks as Captain Benjamin Sisko. That's the man. That's my idol. That's my that's my dude. I've always seen myself in him as a Trekkie. And then, but the second reason, the awesome writing, the awesome character
Mm.
development, the awesome characters. Yes, it was just a great, great, great series.
It was a great series, but also what I always and I still think that it is a bit true. It is a bit of a dark series of Star Trek. It's and of course, but that's what maybe it makes it so different. It's not on a spaceship. It is on a space station.
They did so much that was different. With that particular show, yeah, because every other Star Trek preceding that has always been focused on a ship that went exploring, did things like that. It was more of an optimistic tone, very light, But when Deep Space Nine came, and very episodic too. But when Deep Space Nine came along, yeah, you're right. It showed a more realistic aspect of Star Trek while still expanding upon and holding true to canon.
Yeah, and what I always said it was I don't want to say family based, but it's more like it's encountered more family life instead of,
Yes,
and that's what I also like about Deep Space Nine is that yes, it can be episodic, but it is also um like a few episodes that tells the story.
yeah, it has an overarching storyline, and that was one of that was the first Star Trek to actually employ that in this series, and it was very successful.
Yeah, and I don't know. Have you seen the documentary about Deep Space Nine?
Of course, what we left behind, yes, yeah.
Yes. um. So there was even a point in that documentary that they said, well, we even have a season 8 for Deep Space Nine. Um. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Okay, so when I was watching that documentary, right, and okay, first of all, let me just say that Rick Berman and Ira Stephen Bear, awesome guys. They the guys who decided we're gonna do some awesomeness with Star Trek. We're gonna try our own little approach, and he always have the grooviest little color beard,
Yeah.
little
Yeah. Yeah.
beard thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, these two guys said, hey, you know what? We're gonna do Star Trek in such a way that we're gonna tell a serialized story. We're gonna throw episodes in there and everything, but it's gonna be an overall arcing story, and we're gonna hope that it's successful. Now, upon its release, was it successful? That's debatable. I was there. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like it when it first aired. It was weird.
Yeah, I must say too that I really need to get involved with it because the first time I saw it and it was on aired on TV in the Netherlands
Mm.
and I couldn't follow it. And it took me really 2 or 3 times to watch the whole series. Then I was thinking, all right, now I can make it mine as Star Trek, you know? And I think it was just different and in a way darkish, but it was also. But I did like the characters and the storylines.
Oh, Deep Space Nine has some of the best characters and storylines in Star Trek. Oh, look, just kudos, very well done. I'm curious. I'm a jump the gun. Who's your favorite character? Which one do you think?
That was still on my list to ask you that. My favorite character. I don't know. Over the years, I liked. I start liking more characters over the years, and characters that I didn't like in the beginning, I liked at like now, and yeah, I don't know. It's just a. There is still one of my favorite, and that is Miles O'Brien.
I
And
gotcha.
in this series, he just got the real part and character that he truly is. And what I love about the end of uh, the series is that he really become a teacher of on Starfleet Academy,
Hmm.
and that he is really, yeah, that's how we know him. He is the one who knows so much about engineering, etc. That, yeah, he just belonged there.
Now that speaks to just the dimension, the various dimensions and depth of the characters, because that's the mark of a great story, a story that each time you come back, you can find something new. You can relate to the characters on a different level once your experiences and catch up. Once life happens, you can be like, oh, okay, I understand why this character may have made those choices and think the way they do. Deep Space Nine, every time you watch it, you could be like, oh, okay, I don't like this person, but by the time it's your second or third watch, you're like, oh, this person is so awesome. Deep Space Nine is great for that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And um, the for example, um, if we say Quark, and I have said this before, Quark is the one that I start liking, like in season 6 or season 7, for an certain after a certain episode.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just Quark had to grow on me, as also like um yeah, a lot of other characters. So what is your favorite character?
First of all Ferengi have to grow on you. That's
Yeah,
how it
yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
I have never met a Ferengi that I was like, I do not like Ferengi, and then oh, okay, I like them. All right, but right off the bat, no, yeah, you're not a Ferengi, no. But who is my favorite character? See, you hit me with that one. Okay, you know what? All right, I'll get put on the spot. I get put on the spot. That's fine. All right. So over overall, in general, 9 times out of 10, right, it's gonna fluctuate between either Jazia Dax or Benjamin Sisko. One of those depending over the span of my watching of D Space, it has bounced between one or two of those guys. That's
Mhm.
just, to me, those they are just, even their relationship with each other is just awesome.
um. Yeah. I indeed but that's also because Jatsia is, of course, Trill, and
Mm-hmm.
Corzon was Benjamin's friend. So in that way, it was very uh, nice too. And the whole Zambian thing with Jatsia and Asra and then knowing in the relationships on Deep Space Nine was awesome to see because it tells you a lot more about the symbionts and the trills and what it is to have a trill friend.
The thing, okay, see here, this gonna blow your mind. All right, so everybody knows what a trill is. They know about trill mythology. They know about the joint speed. They know everything that they know about the trill comes from like 98% of the things known about the trill comes from them expanding on canon in Deep Space Nine. The trill was only featured once in the Next Generation
Yeah.
as an ambassador do. You know what I mean? So they was able to take a character that was featured once, that in an episode that not too many people will remember. It wasn't a really big standout episode. It was, he didn't do anything in the episode that was super, you know, galaxy, saving to as you remember. Oh, okay, Trill. Nope. They took that species in Deep Space Nine and created a whole mythos, like a whole world reality in to add to canon just on that. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, the writing.
And I think that's also um, the writing and beginning for Adira in Star Discovery.
Oh dear. See, I knew you was gonna do it. I knew you was gonna do it. I knew you was gonna bring up Star Trek Discovery to
Well,
me. I knew you did it. Okay, you know what? That's all right. I'm gonna let that slide. I'm gonna let that slide. Yeah, I know. I know you're just trying to get a rise out of me. I'm gonna let that slide. Adira is she's an anomaly. Like a lot of things in Star Trek Discovery is to me. She's an anomaly because she's not from the Trill homeworld, meaning she shouldn't have
Mhm.
carried that well as she did for as long as she did. Then they took the Trill and was making it able to just talk to each one of his hosts just willy nilly without a ceremony, nothing. And then they gave one of the hosts in one of the prior memories of this person a whole body. Not to forget about the other ones, but just this one. Oh, and she was in a relationship with him. It's just the craziest thing that it's an anomaly. I don't try to think about that.
But they did something like that episode where Jachia asked her friends that they took one of the hosts over them, and they did that the same in Discovery.
They did, but if you remember right, so when they ran across Adira, she was joined already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, she wasn't having like for instance, Jadzia. When Jadzia thought of something that Curzon did, she wasn't talking to Curzon. She had his memories. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a conversation going on in their brain
Mm-hmm.
until they did the same. They put those memories, those consciousnesses into Odo and all those other people. But Adira was able to just talk to everybody in her brain, like, hey, everybody, hi, oh yeah, I'm gonna fall in love with you. It's just weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
She fell in love with memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, Discovery is an anomaly. See, you see how I just explained that calm of voice with Discovery. You see, see, I'm learning
Mm-hmm.
my temperament.
So, what do you think of Benjamin Sisko being the Bajoran emissary?
It's awesome. That was okay. Okay, first, Deep Space Nine was the first series that really dove into religion. One of the things that Star Trek had always stayed away from was, um, kind of being either one side or the other when it came to religion, even when they ran across religious, worlds, which was rare. But in D Space Nine, it was the first one. It was like, hey, not only are we going to touch on religion in this, but we're going to make our main character um, uh, unwilling religious figure in this whole society culture that we basing the show around. And I thought that was awesome. There was so
Mm.
much they could do with that, so much they did with it.
So, what do you think that how they introduce the religion then?
Interchange. What do you mean?
The religion in as the Bajoran religion into the whole Star Trek series.
I thought it was great. And the cool thing about it is that, and they even touched on it a lot, several times in Deep Space Nine, where they was like, okay, uh, for instance, what was her name? Keiko. Keiko got in trouble with it when she was the
Yeah, yeah,
teacher of the
yeah,
class.
yeah.
You know, they was like, okay, the Bajorans believe this. You know what I mean? Okay, to them, this is, their religion. This is what they've based their history on. These are their gods. And they worship and build temples and all that. But to people who are objective outside of that religion, it can be interpreted as, okay, well, these are wormhole aliens. They have these abilities, and all of that kind of stuff. And it was cool how um, it would, just like in reality, you would have a teacher who's trying to explain, both aspects, and you'll have people who would be like, nah, 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 nah.
Mm.
So I like I like that they put that in, put that several times. And, it wasn't just a one-off thing and then everybody was happy with it. No, it was a lot of times where Federation and Starfleet values clash with the Bajoran religious beliefs. Military styles clash with Bajoran religious beliefs, and it was always cool how they handled it because they never was like, well, our Starfleet values is or our Federation values is going to trump what y'all feel about this, or we gonna belittle it. No, it was always okay. Well, we still no matter what, we still gonna respect the Bajorans' religious beliefs and autonomy, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and of course, I always have to laugh about this. We have the Bajoran gold ducat.
Oh yeah, Bajoran go Ducat. Yes, yes. Okay, Ducat was crazy. Ducat was the craziest crazy
Yeah.
that ever see.
I think that is the if we are talking about a villain in Deep Space Nine, then he will be one of them.
He would definitely be the them. He is the them villain. And the thing about Ducat is that all right. 1 minute Ducat is the villain. The next minute Ducat is the ally. The next minute Ducat is the hero. The next minute, he was just you knew that, oh, okay. Overall, Ducati is a bad guy, but through it, you was thinking to yourself, man, I really, really hope they write a redemption arc for him because he has so many chances to, get redeemed, man. And he was just like, nah, I ain't finna do that.
That was sometimes I was, and that was I really had to laugh about was, in the end that you see that Kai Wynn was she knew that he was um,
Mm,
um, what's the word, deceiving her,
under, oh yeah, undercover Kardashian, yeah.
and then
Hmm.
you, you saw her face. Shit, I slept with a Kardashian.
Okay, so Kai Wen, all right, Kai Wen, nobody likes her.
No.
Okay, no, nobody. Like there is absolutely no person you will meet that knows anything about Kai Wen that will have anything positive to say about it. That's like probably one of the best feats in Star Trek history to be that kind of character. She's like
Mm-hmm.
the Lannister of Star Trek. She's the Jamie Lannister. I mean, not Jamie, the little crazy king dude of Star Trek.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what she
yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah.
Now that being said, I almost felt bad for her, right? When she found out that that was Ducat, like that the dude she was just been having this relationships with, was Ducat, like the look on her face for a split second, I was almost like, oh.
Yeah.
But then I was like, good, good for you. Nah, because I didn't like her. But you could tell, man, she,
No,
I,
I didn't like her either, and the whole um the whole attitude of her, and if you see uh Kaiwin and Kaiopaka, it is too.
fast different.
Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. Well, there's one other mysterious person I think in the series, and that is Garrick. I never know. Okay, is Garrick like of that mysterious of the syndicate, or is he just a Kardashian that is full out of all the planet, and is he just like uh, in one way patriot or whatever?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the rundown on Garrett. Now, this will include spoilers. So, anybody who, okay, anybody who just want to be like, oh man, I want to find out what kind of character Garrett is. Okay, you might want to watch that. But let me give you a spit rundown on Garrett, right? See, because Garrett, I love that dude. I love everything about. Look,
Yeah, me too. He is my favorite Kardashian. I don't like Kardashian, but he's the only one who's I say, okay, I think I can trust him.
right? Like I think like depending on the situation. Okay, see, here's the thing, Garrick, right? Imagine, okay, I kind of understand this dude. So let me get this straight. Your dad was the head of one of the most ruthless and top secret organizations on your entire planet. He brought you up in this organization to replace him one day in this organization. So he taught you everything he knew. Then one day he was like, "Hey man, listen, you assigned a weakness for me, so you exile. You can't ever come back to this planet, right?" Now, first of all, we already know that Garrick is super patriotic. He loves his planet. He loves his people. He'll do anything for him. Hence, hence him helping Starfleet when they was having that war with the Dominion, right? This dude, like, he got a conscience because we've seen him like go through guilt breakdowns because of the things that he was doing, right? We even know that he has, like this dude puts on a smile, walks around, say hi to everybody, but he's under complete torture. That he has this thing that just drips this, that stops him from feeling pain and makes him feel happy about it. This dude is like, he ends up falling in love with ZL. One of the only touches, remnants of him being able to be around somebody that's of his people, and then she get killed. I'm telling you, this dude was, and still was happy, joy, but one of the darkest, most calculated, ruthless assassins and most efficient people that you can ever run across in Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is one thing I like about him, but also his relationship with uh, the Doctor. And they had very
Ah,
funny moments in like around Quark's bar.
so I gotta ask, right? Because um, it's going around, and I know that this was probably the intent of the writer and everything like that, but I never got the impression from watching the entire series of Deep Space Nine as many times as I have that Garrick or Bashir was in any other type of relationship than at first me messing with you and then later me and you being homies. That's it. I didn't think they had any type of intimate, romantic, none of that.
No, not romantic, but I mean like friends.
Exactly. But for some reason, they trying to give them to that particular identification, and then I'm as a Canaanite, I gotta fight back against that. But I love their relationship from beginning to end.
It was a weird friendship.
Very, very weird. But once you got to know what type of person Garrick was,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you could totally understand that. All right, he's at first you don't know if he's trying to reach out to this dude because he want to get some information on Starfleet or whatever reason. That was the whole thing of how Bashir was. Hey man, you listen. I think that you should get close to him and listen to what he got to say, man. Figure out if he's a spy. That was how their relationship got started.
Hmm.
But I really think that Garrick was drawn to Bashir's innocence and naivety. I really think that that's what really captivated Garrick when it came to Bashir.
Maybe he got this party interested because Bashir was different. And of course, we know later on that Bashir was like an augment, and
Yep.
and I think there was this few episodes with Bashir playing some kind of a 007, and Garrett joined him,
Yes.
and that was
Yeah.
really nice to see how in that way. And he has that little uh, way to talk to Bashir of, I don't want to say uh, that he is above Bashir, but more like guiding him and letting him think of what he's doing.
Hmm.
And but like I said, Garrick in that way is very mysterious. And um I never ever I liked Garrick. The only thing is that um sometimes you have to ask yourself, okay, is he a good guy or a bad guy?
Yes. That's exactly what Garrick is. He is both. Garrick is both a good guy and a bad guy, but ultimately, his whole thing is he's another extreme of Ducat. Ducat is for Cardassia, but he'll do stupid things. Garrick is for Cardassia, but he will do calculated things. So yeah, if he's a good guy, as long as what you're doing is supporting Cardassians, there we go. If you not, then yeah, you coming up missing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what do you think about what was your initial thoughts about the Dominion War?
Loved it, and it was dark, but that was the thing. Um, Star Trek. I think Star Trek needed that aspect because in reality, running across all these civilizations, running across all these situations where, your mind get wiped and, you get your memory back. All these traumatic things that normally in a serialized show like The Next Generation, hey, Jordy got brainwashed in one episode by the Romulans. You had him almost killing the ambassador, and then the next episode you didn't hear nothing about it. You know what I mean? So, but in the Dominion War, there you get to see um, the ramifications of each one of these decisions as it happens throughout the war. You get to see, Nog is a perfect example. You get to see him, how he was innocent before he even became a cadet, and how he went from a cadet to, being a participant in Dominion War, and how he, got over his Ferengi tendencies and became a hero, lost his leg, the trauma he went through after that, like it was so many instances that couldn't have been covered without the introduction of the Dominion War to fill out what Deep Space Nine was.
Yeah, and with the Dominion War, we got more different species like Odo and his people, and the Jem'Hadar, of course.
Oh man, the what was it? Border.
Yeah,
The the only other what was it? Multifaceted, the multiracial species, I should say, in Star Trek would probably be the Zindi. You
yeah,
know, but
I
yeah,
love those.
but oh, wasn't that great? I mean, just those concepts is great. Hey, you know what? Um, it's a lot of us, but we just call ourselves the domain.
Yeah, but that is what the thing too. When that was kept me going, um, with the Enterprise. The Enterprise is one of the series that I got caught in right away. It was from the first moment. It was good,
Mhm.
and yes, with this Space Nine, it took me a while, but in the end, it is a great series, a series with great storylines. And talking about storylines, there are episodes that are very good, um, be written, and um, there are also multiple uh, episodes that, for example, with Vic 14, when they had to uh, help him to get. What was it? Wasn't what that something with something with
It was
his
the
program?
mobsters. Yeah, it was some mobsters that was trying to take over his club in the
Yeah,
program, and the bridge crew had to dress up and go in there, man, and kind of outsmart them. It was pretty cool though. The mobster episode, I liked it. Yes, before that, you was talking about the Dominion War, and I gotta say, I'm one of those people who, when I really think about it, Starfleet started the war with the Dominion. They did. They started the war with the Dominion. Dominion told them several times, "Hey man, listen, could y'all stop coming in our territory?" And they just kept doing it. So yeah, that was Starfleet's fault. I'm just putting it out there as a Canaanite. I know it's probably going to be a lot of people that be like, "No, it happened. It happened." Yep, it was them. Now, wait, do you agree or disagree? I gotta ask that.
um, I never see it this way, but it is not like, oh, Starfleet started or the Dominion started. For me, it's more like the whole surrounding with um, the characters and
Mhm.
um, yeah, how can I say this? Just so, but it is like you are, and that's just the most beautiful thing. Also with Star Trek Online, we have a special Gamma Quadrant story arc line, and but it is so written so good, and not only that, but it is more like um, you really got to know the characters from both species, but also like why there is a Dominion War and how it comes and etc. etc.
Hmm. Now I haven't played the game and been versed on the extended mythology, but not as high speed as you with the big old model of the Enterprise sitting in the house. I'm gonna borrow that one day. I keep saying, but they restarted it. So okay, before I get talking about your favorite episodes, that before I interrupted with my little 2 cents about the Dominion War. Mhm.
So there are some special episodes like the one that they go back to the 50s and that they are working in like a newspaper setting, and Benjamin Sisko was the only black man, and so there was a lot of racism in that. But I think that was also more like a message from the writers and of course Star Trek. Um, What do you think about those special episodes?
Look, let me tell you. The episodes that you're talking about is called Far Beyond the Stars, right? And it had a second parter. Now, the thing about those two episodes, okay, all right. It wasn't the first loved those episodes. The writers I thought took a really big gamble and writing it the way that they did, and the actors was really great. And especially when when Benjamin did his whole monologue thing, and broke down in a at work, all of that was classic, right? I mean, that was even more on the nose than say, "Let That Be Your Last Battlefield" from the original series with Lokai and Bill. But the thing about that episode is that in the storyline of Deep Space Nine and what was going on, it wasn't the prophets that had sent Benny back to experience both of those two things. It was the Wraith, and the Wraith was using that dark moment in history to try to break him and get him off the path of being a prophet. So I love that they was able to incorporate the story of the pirates and the prophets into what was going on with that. I love that they wrote the story that the way that they did and covered it in a time era that they did. I love the acting that they did in both parts of it. It was awesome. As far as they had so many great episodes like that, the
Yeah.
trial and tribulation. That was another outstanding. That broke records. Got awards back in the time when it came out because of not only the story but the way that they blended both episodes. That was like some. What was that? That was like that. What was that Tom Hanks movie? Forrest Gump level CGI blending right there.
Mm.
They
And I
did
like,
awesome with that.
yeah. And there was also that episode that Benjamin and Jake, they had those one of the first um, sailing ships that they used as, I thought it was some kind of uh, signing an agreement by species or whatever. I can't remember what it was exactly, but you know which one I mean?
Yeah, the one where they had that solar ship and they
Yeah,
was trying to prove that Bajorans from like hundreds of years ago had actually made it to Cardassia, and it ended up opening like some scientific treaties between Cardassia and Bajor because they didn't know that that could actually be done. But
yeah.
but see, that's what I'm talking about. That writing because it was prophesied that the emissary would do that
Mm.
by the Bajor. So even though he was unwilling to be recognized as the emissary, it was just so many times that he'll find something that, oh yeah, the prophet was the emissary was supposed to find that lost city.
Mm.
He'll do something. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be this sword that pierces the sky, something like that. Yeah, the emissary. Yeah, that was you, dude. He like, no, man, that was it was just a runabout, man. No, 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 that's not what it looked like from down here. So awesome show. Awesome show. So, what's some of your best special episodes?
Um, yeah, there are just the whole writing of it is you have really episodes that really connect with me, and
Mm-hmm.
also like with the storylines, etc. And the backgrounds of characters. That is one thing I also love. But one of my favorite is when, and I said it before, when Odo had to escort Quark to court, and Odo was solid, and they crashed down on this planet, and it was Odo who was had to depend on Quark that he would take the beacon on top of the hill, so there will be an emergency signal to Deep Space Nine. But that one was just hilarious with the whole, because we know how Quark and Odo are together, and ever since that episode, Quark and Odo are friends, and you can see with the manner of teasing others how actually friends they are now.
The best frenemies ever.
Yes.
They are the best frenemies ever. You know, that episode was so cool, man. It opened up so much. It answered a lot and gave so many more possibilities to their relationship. Because you always think to yourself, why do Odo even, tolerate this dude on there? And you'd be like, okay, I wonder why Quark. Sometimes he'll help Odo. It'll be a harsh help, but sometimes he'll help Odo, and other times he'll be trying to do stuff that it clearly get him in trouble with Odo. Yeah, it's just
As
they
always.
homies. They just got different. You know who they remember? Okay, I don't know if you're gonna remember this cartoon, right? But every time I think of Odo and Quark's relationship, it reminds me of this old Looney Tunes cartoon where it was this sheepdog and this wolf, and every morning they used to come in, they clock in on the clock. They was all cordial with each other and everything like that. But as soon as they clocked in on the clock, the sheepdog would always be trying to, the wolf would always be trying to get the sheep, and the wolf dog will always spend the day trying to stop them, messing them up, everything. And by the end of the day, when they clock out, they go back home talking to each other. How was your day, George? Yeah, it was great, George. That's how they remind me. The bestest friends is just their professions keep them at eyes.
Yeah.
One trying to get law, the other one is the enforcer of the law. Other than that, I think they I love their relationship too.
Let's talk a bit of the Ferengi family on Deep Space Nine.
Oh
And
snap!
then, of course, I had talking about Quark, Nog, and Rom. And, of
Yeah,
course, what I wanted to say just now, coming back of uh, the other question of the special episodes, um,
mm,
there are two other episodes that I always enjoy watching, and of course, it's hold on. Of course, that is with the Ferengis, the one with Mookie. I love Mookie, and the other one was that um, Quark's employees were on a strike.
yes,
I love that one.
yes. All my favorite Ferengi episodes was the what was it, the Magnificent Seven, um, where they was trying to go and rescue Moogie from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
oh, and they was getting together the squad to go do that.
yeah,
Now, in the next generation, there were several times where you got a chance to see the Ferengi. Every time you seen them, like I said, you was like, "Oh, I don't like these guys. The only thing they in for is profit." They're kind of goofy, especially their first appearance in season one of Next
yeah,
Generation. You're like, huh? What is
yeah.
these things with laser whips? Anyway, by the way, I'm glad they got rid of those laser whips. That was the stupidest
Thing
thing
ever.
in the world. But by the time he got to D Space Nine and start focusing on the Ferengi family, man, you find, man, hold up, two of the greatest story arcs in all of Star Trek canon is Rom and Nog.
Yes, yes. Oh my god, I love them so much with Rom standing up to Quark and said, I can be a technician. And you saw that in that episode with when they went on strike. He was the master brain behind it. And
Yeah,
Nog was the first Ferengi that joined Starfleet. How awesome is that?
right, exactly, exactly. Rom was just some dude who looked like he was kind of slow, man, over being some kind of waiter, in the still tavern, man, and he went from that to being helping the fan the wormhole with a high speed. replicated cloak mind device, man, being right side hand of Chief O'Brien and becoming Grand Nagus. And you got Rom. I mean, you got Nog,
I love that. When he
right? When that
became when he became Grand Nagus and Quark had to bid him, I was laughing my ass off. I was saying, "Good for you, Rom."
and Rom was married to let me see, no, yeah, Rom was married to Lita, who in Star Trek has to me the third best outfit ever worn by for fourth outfit ever worn by any Star Trek character. Yes, she was beautiful. Oh, and Nog. I mean, and yeah, Nog goes from petty crimes, breaking and entering, being a bad role model for Jake, throwing doing crazy pranks, to being in Starfleet,
And
fighting
so
in the Dominion.
serious. He
Right. Like,
was
come
so
on, man.
serious.
Gotta love these guys. So yeah, they yeah.
And
And Quark, man, Quark was
there was also that episode that Nook came home and he had to roommate it with Jake, and they were totally opposite. You think, oh, a Ferengi is like, sorry, I can't remember the word now, but he was so dirty and chaotic, and Nook was so straight out and like Starfleet, you know?
Mhm. Like clean. You'd be like, wait a minute, that's not how that's supposed to work. Now I get grubs, man. And you
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah, they were such great influences on each other.
But I loved them. The writing of those two young characters is one of the greatest, I think, in uh, what they do in all Star Trek series, because they said they have this friendship and they have this uh, motivation to get anywhere, and you see the story behind them in all the whole series, and it is great how their friendship grows, and all the uh, prejudice from both sides came joined in this friendship.
And then the human with the Starfleet history and parent ends up becoming a writer, and his homie that had no kind of connection to Starfleet ends up joining Starfleet. Right. So yeah, I'll stand it right. You would think that Jake would have been like on the path being groomed to be some kind of next instant crusher. No,
I loved
that's not what
about
I
that.
want to do.
I love that
Mhm.
about it, and you know, of course, you see Wesley Crusher as this wonder kid, and he had a lot of, and that's why I think one of the things that he eventually um, stopped quit Starfleet and become the Traveler, and yeah, but I loved it that they exactly had this. Oh, and I want to know another episode that I really love was the Niners.
The Niners.
Don't you remember that
Okay, what?
one?
Uh oh. Did you get me? Did you get me? All right. What happened? What happened in it? What happened? Refresh, refresh my memory.
Oh my god, Tommy! That is my. Oh my god. The Niners. The Niners was that the Deep Space Nine crew played baseball against the Falcons.
That's all you. That's all. See, that's all you had to say right there. When they played the game of baseball, man. Oh, yeah, yeah, yes, yes. That whole look. That was a great filler episode for all of the crazy stuff that was going on with the Dominion War. That was a great, breather between all of that with a
Yeah,
nice, game of baseball. We know we ain't gonna win. They Vulcans, but
I love that one. I really love that one.
and you know what else is cool? it hadn't been since the original series, I believe, where they actually highlighted a rivalry between two
Yes.
captains because you know it'd be people who had their rivalry ever since you know
Deep Snap.
the academy, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, what's up? So and it's great because okay, if the Vulcans they would find baseball to be illogical, right?
Mm.
This
But that
dude convinced,
captain, yeah, that
right?
captain was very obsessive with it.
Not just out of he was obsessed with just making Ben Cisco look bad.
Yeah,
That was his way of putting it.
yeah,
So that means that this Vulcan captain convinced his entire Vulcan crew to be like, "Hey, listen, we just really gotta make this one dude look bad." Like, and he convinced them to do it in a logical way. That's how awesome that dude is. Now you can see why he's Benjamin Sisko's rival out of all these years. That's right. He found a non-emotional way to bully Captain Sisko.
but in the
Hmm.
end, it didn't work. And it was so fantastic. It was so fantastic that it was wrong, Roma of all people, that
Yeah,
turned the ties. Oh my god.
man, look, that series is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that a lot more people haven't, but you really watched it. But a lot of people are actually starting to, actually see it now and notice how awesome it is, how much it stands apart from
yeah,
other Star Trek. Still is Star Trek,
yeah,
and understand why Discovery was so terribly written.
yeah.
I got to take a jab at Discovery. That's how that goes.
So, what do you think about Cisco being the first single father in the Star Trek universe?
And not only was he a badass single father, right? It wasn't no BS that he was a single father because something crazy happened, this person just left. No, 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 no. He lost his woman in battle, which he was vehemently trying to save. You know what I'm saying? He was really trying to save Jennifer off that ship. Like, but the way he handled it, the way he still was able to raise Jake, just the whole family dynamic of how they had him being a great father figure, a great mentor, a great friend to his son, all throughout the different stages. Just the relationship that him and Sarah Lofton had in real life. Uh, the lessons that he taught him. And the food. Oh my God, the food that he cooked.
Oh
Yep.
yes, I loved his father and all uh the whole thing with just a shapeshifter and a changeling in on Starfleet Academy, etc. And that his father was the only one that still cooked uh, at the old way. I
Mm-hmm.
loved that, and that Jake and Benjamin. It was like they could flee there when they had enough from the Deep Space Nine of the deep space.
Yeah. And it was another thing that's really cool is that, uh, although Ben was a single dad, his father was a single father too,
Hmm.
because Jennifer left when Jake, when Cisco was a kid, when
Yeah.
she realized that she was possessed by, you know, prophet that was messed up. Anyway, when she realized she was possessing him, she was like, "I don't know you, dude. I'm out." So he ended up raising Jake, his on his own.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had and he had a great example because pops is awesome.
Yeah, but I also think that um, why they make Cisco a single father, I think it's just also because it is a subject that is nowadays very common. And in the time when it aired, everyone, um, it was very uh, ashamed if you were a single father or a single mother at the time.
I don't know, because well, if you look at it that way, then the people would have been saying the same thing about Beverly Crusher and her son,
Yeah,
Wes, right?
yeah,
Because if you think about it, she pretty much was in the same situation.
yeah.
Jack Crusher died on a mission. Jennifer Cisco died on a mission. You know, um, my thing was, why you gonna make this dude a commander? Why he can't be a captain just starting off? Why we can't do that? That was always my biggest gripe. Out of all the Star Trek leads, you know, why is he not? First of all, he was supposed to be a Commodore because he runs a space station. He's supposed to hold the rank of Commodore, but I ain't going to say nothing
Mm,
about that. I'm not going to get touchy on that. But at least make him a captain.
yeah, but
Just like you got Captain.
that was later in
Eventually,
the. Yeah,
they had him looking bogus, man, with the little short fro, man, and the three pips, man. Nah, come on,
yeah, but
y'all, make him a captain.
I think they did that because it was just after Wolf 359 with Picard as Locutus. I mean, in the first episode, you see how angry uh, Cisco still was on Picard because
Mm-hmm.
he blamed Picard or Locutus to kill Jennifer.
Oh yeah, it was definitely the cutest that did that. That was, and he held his composure well. You know, okay, to be able to blend what happened at Wolf 359 with the basis of what your new character is going to be in a whole nother series, right? And then have Captain Picard be the person who introduces you to your new duty assignment, the same person that got your wife killed, right? I thought that was such a deep thing to do. Like to make that connection and be like, oh man, look, I gotta stay in here and talk to you of all people. You look, dude. We met before. The only other person I think had problems like that when they met Picard was Captain Shaw. Captain
Mm,
Shaw had
yeah,
he had problems when he met Picard. He wasn't feeling that. Yeah, I don't care if he was a technological zombie dude. You killed Jennifer, but yeah, I guess so. But I'm a push back on that because how about this? Remember Commander Shelby when she came over to help out with the Borg, right?
yep,
When uh when she became first officer, they immediately gave her first officer commander rank. When
yes.
right when Commander Riker took over as captain in Enterprise, they immediately gave him his captain pips. They waited a whole year to give my man. He running the whole station. Supposed to be a commodore, which outranks a captain anyway. But they waited a whole year to give him his captain stripes, man. Get out of here, man. Get out of here, y'all. Get out. That's always been a pet peeve of mine, but that didn't have anything to do with the writing of the show. Well, with the
Mhm.
actual show, it had to do with their decision because I always found that suspect. Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about the station itself?
Eric Noah. Look, I think that's awesome
I have
because if
assimilated Torak Noor in the Star Trek Online.
oh you did not.
Yes, I did, and I even have a picture to prove it.
You know you're gonna have to tell me that, right? I have to see a Borg and find Tarek Noah. That'll be awesome.
I will
That'll be
send it to
awesome.
you.
So this is okay. So they said, and when I say they, the writers, this is another one of their brilliant moves. They said, okay, hey, we could put a Federation space station right here, right? But people are familiar. That'd be just we're trying to get away from the starship aspect. That'd just be kind of like having a starship sitting right here. with the aspect of Terra Nor, not only is it design that's alien that we're not familiar with, right? It opens up so many possibilities as far as rehabbing that station to something else. So now that you can make a story out of that. For instance, when they activated those defense systems that they didn't know they had on Terra Nor, and it started going through each one of those escalations, until until Dukai came over and was like, "Hey, yeah, we gonna shut this down." Nope, that ain't gonna work for you, man. You trying to get out of here? So or when they get stuck inside the mine or processing facility, when they did the flashbacks of things that happened when during the occupation on Terra Nor. I thought the use of alien space station, yeah, just kept so much more of the intrigue and possibilities than a Federation space station would have been.
Yeah, I think so too. And it is just nice that it is not Starfleet because they have to think of something very differently than if you have Taragnor. And but it is super different. And I think the whole Taragnor thing with the dark and metal aspects, I think that's also giving the darkness in uh, the series.
Oh yeah, that totalitarian architecture that the Kardashians is known for, them and the Romulans known for, that old German architecture was known for, that dystopian we control you everything aspect. Only thing that kind of broke away from that was the promenade. But when you seen that on in the flashbacks, you be like, never mind. But oh yeah, the design of it was not a welcoming. It looked like a mining slave station.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it looked like.
So what do you think of the Jem'Hadar?
Oh, those guys are awesome. Those guys are awesome. Don't sleep, don't eat. Only thing they do is mature, fight, and live on a Catracel white. That's all they do. Now, you would think that because of that, that makes them, kind of, not the most intelligent people, but no, they are extremely intelligent, intuitive, tactical, strategic. The guys are awesome.
I think that's and there was that episode with the young Jem'Hadar that they found and that Odo was keeping an eye on. Um, I think that they did a good job to introduce a young Jem'Hadar to the public, as in say, okay, they need to grow. They have this emotional um, outbursts, etc., and that yeah,
And
I
that
think.
they genetically disposed to follow the orders of founders.
Mhm. What do you think of the founders? And of course, especially with Odo and the female founder that was some kind of a leader.
You know, see, that's another one of those the bad guys that I could really sympathize with. So so let me get this straight. Tens of thousands of years ago, you guys was all, hey, look, there's some solids. Let's go, talk to them. When y'all tried to do that, they wasn't too impressed or happy with the fact that y'all could shapeshift, thought that you guys was bad guys, not to be trusted, all that. Decided to start persecuting you, destroying you, and all that kind of stuff, right? So to defend yourself, you said, oh, okay, hey, listen, what we're gonna do is, because we're really cool at genetic modifications, we are gonna go find this little monkey thing hanging out in a tree somewhere. We gonna modify their genetics over a few thousand years, and we gonna call those guys the Vorta. And we need somebody to enforce our rules and regulations, keep us safe from all the crazy people running around trying to do all this crazy stuff. Yeah, let's just make some people. Yeah, we gonna call them the Jem'Hadar, right? And the Vorta gonna rule over them. And their whole mission in life is to keep all the solids under control so that they will not try to hurt them no more. That is interesting. They not
Yeah,
just like, hey man, we just gonna take over everything. No, man, we y'all was trying to kill us, man. Y'all was killing us. We made all this so that y'all wouldn't do that no more. I love those guys, but they turned dark,
yeah.
just as with all things, just
I
with all
never liked
things
the
do.
Florida, and um, Jeffrey Combs, of course, he has played one of the many roles in Star Trek. He also played
Mm-hmm.
Young, and
Mm-hmm.
I always get annoyed by him, and for especially in Star Trek Online when we do those Gamma story arc. But I never liked the Vorta.
I think it's because they're so slimy and backstabbing. They have no. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
They 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 are major butt kissers.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh my god.
They have no loyalty to nothing but the founders, and even with the founders, they just utter butt kissers.
Yep.
They they don't care if they idea was right, if it was wrong, if it would proceed good. They don't care if it would be the best for the founders or the best for the Dominion or nothing. As long as they could get praise from a founder, whoever it is, they gonna go with whatever that is that they could get the praise from, and that is a terrible way to
Yep.
have a middleman team.
Yep.
So that's probably why you divorced it. Yeah, but Wayne Young still plays them great. Yeah,
So there is
yes.
one other character that still is being a big character in the series, and that of course comes from the Klingon side, and then I'm talking about General Martok.
Talk was gangster.
I like Martok.
Let me. I honestly think that Martok was supposed to just been in one episode as maybe the changeling spy, something like that, right? And I think that he got such great reception, because of course he's played by the legendary J.G. Hertzler, right? I think he got just such great reception that they was like, hey, we gotta have somebody to balance Gowron crazy Oz self out. We gotta, because Gowron's eyes is real crazy and Gowron is real crazy, so we need somebody to balance him out. And I thought that would be an excellent. I thought that was an excellent thing to do. I loved that dude. Martok was awesome.
Yeah, and do you think that I think that it's they bring him in as well as in more interaction of the Klingons and Worf.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Because you. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, because I was about to say, man, because you couldn't. Okay, at some point you would have had to have the Klingons and the Federation, become allies again. But because of the beef between Worf and Gowron, there was absolutely nowhere in the world they was gonna write it back to where those two would be boys. So I think, writing Martok in it so much gave them the way they needed to be. All right, okay, well he don't got to be homies with Gowron, but he could be homies with Martok. I think that was a good way that they progressed that story
Yeah,
using them.
and of course, Gowron at that point was dad.
Yeah, eventually, eventually, man, he died a little later. Like what was it, season 5 or 6? He got maybe 5 or 6, one of those. Yeah, he was around for a minute. Yep. To Worf said, "No, I don't think I like you no more." Remember that blood that we was just talking about from Next Generation? Yeah, I'm gonna finish that up right now. Hmm.
So
what was his mate's name? Kalar. What was her
yeah,
name? Was her name?
yeah,
That would have been the most satisfying part of that if he had just been like that was for Kalar. Yeah,
yeah,
that would have been awesome.
yeah. Talking about Kalar, I have met Susie Plaxton, and I told her that I found her one of the most beautiful female Klingons that there were in Star Trek, uh, the Star Trek universe. And you know what she told me? And that was very
Which is
funny.
that?
That was very funny because Denise Cosby and Marina Sirtis was sitting next to her, and I was one of the late ones that had a autograph of Susan Plaxton. So they joined in the conversation a bit, and Susie Plaxton told me that, well, maybe I'm that beautiful because I didn't have to use the teeth of the Klingons.
No, she was just fine. She was also the finest Q that was put to screen
Oh
too.
yes, oh yes, loved that. You know, in the beginning I didn't recognize her.
He didn't either. And the finest Andorian. I'm like
Oh
she, yeah,
yes,
mhm.
she
Yeah,
has
she brought.
she played a lot of characters as well, but not as much as
Yes.
Jeffrey Combs.
Oh no. Jeffrey Combs is like third most prolific Star Trek actor. Jeffrey Combs said, "I don't care what it is. I don't care what prosthetics y'all need. I just let me know what y'all need." And I'm gonna do that. If you want me to be the sleazy rich dude that's trying to buy a hologram program about Kira's nakedness from Quark, I got you. I can do that.
That was so funny too. Um, before I'm coming to another point in what will be the last subject that I like to discuss, there is one thing else what I really love those episodes, and that was that Major Kira was pregnant of the O'Brien's baby.
Oh, don't just stop right there. Okay, so not only was she pregnant with O'Brien's baby by it was a transported thing that needed to happen. People, it wasn't nothing crazy, but they was about to start getting into some. They was getting some. They was doing some smoochy eyes with each other, and starting to be. Keiko was in a little bit of trouble for a minute, because them foot massages from O'Brien was. Kira was, yeah, they was.
But I
Yes,
loved. Wasn't she pregnant at the time with the of the child of the one who was played Bashir? Because they were married.
they okay. So she, all right. So if I remember correctly, it was a transport accident where they had to take the baby out of Keiko
Yeah,
and put it into Kira,
but I mean
right?
in real
So,
life.
oh yeah, she was pregnant in real life. Yes,
But I
yep.
mean,
And they wrote it.
I thought that she had this relationship with um, the one who played Bashir, and I
Yeah,
even thought they were married because I know uh, at the time that they had a child together. I know they have a child together.
yes. Back when his name could. Okay, see. All right. So one day I'm watching Deep Space Nine, right? I think it got to like season 3, right? And I'm looking at, of course, since it came on TV, you can't fast forward it. So you're watching the names of the people, the actors that's coming across, right? And
Mm.
I think I noticed it right around season 3. But Dr. Bashir's name in the first season, right, was Sadiq El Fadil.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, by the third or fourth season, he had dropped like one of those 3 names, right?
Oh, I remember
And
that. Yeah.
right, and I'm like, I wonder why he did that. But I do remember why he did that now because yeah, that whole stuff around September. But yes, they did get together, and yes, they did have a little Kira Bashir. Yes, they sure did. But I don't think they stayed together.
No, they didn't stay together
Yeah, I don't think
because
they
I
stayed.
think
Yeah.
that was one of the subjects also in the documentary, and because Nana was very involved with that documentary,
Mhm.
she told that, and I know because Nana and Gage McFadden are so close together because of their
Mm,
performances in tap dancing, etc. Um, I knew that they didn't stay together. Yeah.
yeah. Yep. And once you get out the Starfleet uniforms, it things turn a little different. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, but he was,
Um,
yeah.
Talking about the documentary still a bit. What do you think about the Red Pack of Starfleet?
Red Pack of Starfleet. Okay, you got to remind me again. Gotta.
It's the I believe it's 4 or 5 actors who formed this band, and they go to every big um, Star Trek event in the world, and they will entertain fans with their music. And it was with Armin Shimmerman, the one who played, was that Garrick? Yeah, that's Garrick, and Ron,
Oh wow.
and what was the other one? I can't remember now. But they did this song in the beginning and in the end, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, it was all dressed up in their tuxedos. Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't. I thought that. Yeah,
Oh, it
that
was
was
Vic
really cool.
Fontaine, by the way. Was Vic
The
Fontaine?
song. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. First of all, that was a beautiful song. They beautifully did
Yes,
it. It was beautifully shot.
yes. And if you hear the lyrics, it's perfect.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I'm telling you, man, that was a great series. I hope one day that they're able to, I ain't gonna say remake it, but you know what I'm saying.
Mm,
Do another D Space,
mm.
D Space 10. Oh,
All the episodes are rebooted.
as long as they don't do a Kelvin timeline DS9, we all right.
Oh my god, yeah. So, okay, this is a bit of out of the record.
Mhm.
What do you think of that? The Calvin timeline movie 4 is still happening.
No, it's not. For
Yes,
real?
yes. There
No.
are. It's coming out when it's coming out. I believe it is about around October, November this year, because it is it's called Fallout, Star Trek Fallout, but it is in the Calvin timeline and made by, of course, J.J. Abrams. So I'm still a bit horrified, to be honest. But okay, what's your thoughts about that, real quick?
Okay. All right. So this is okay. You know how I feel about the Kelvin timeline. You know how I feel about J.J. Abrams. You know how I feel about Bad Robot. You know how I feel about anything they touch that has to do with Star Trek. That being said, I'm still a watch it. Ah!
What about Section 31? Because I saw last week the trailer about Section 31, and I must say it looks very good. I don't know if you have seen it.
Yes. Yes. So, all right. I'm gonna try to make this a short. I'm gonna try to make this as short of a story as possible. So, about a year ago, I had did a top 10 countdown of Star Trek series I'd like to see made. Right. One of those was Section 31. So we
Mm.
fast forward a year, and they say, "Hey, we're gonna do a Star Trek Section 31." I'm excited. It's got Michelle Yeoh. I'm
Of
even
course.
more excited. I've been loving Michelle Yeoh since her days with Jackie Chan and Cynthia
Yep,
Rothrock back in
me
the
too. High five.
exactly right. So I'm like, look,
Nobody
we
knows
finna
that in
do.
the Western world. Every time they say, "Oh, this Michelle Yeoh and Michelle Yeoh, she's so good," I said, "Have you ever watched her old Asian movies?" Hello.
Oh, I grew up on her. Look, I had a crush on Michelle
Me
Yeoh
too.
back in the day.
I grew up with it.
You look, her, look. Okay, anyway, all right, okay. That was one of my childhood wives. Anyway, so. when they said Michelle Yeoh is gonna be in it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Now, I seen the trailer. I thought the trailer was awesome until we seen one part, and I swear I tried to watch this. I watched this trailer about 5 times, and I kept stopping it at the same exact spot. Now, after about the fifth time, I continued on. Thought the rest of the trailer was awesome, but right when I got up to this one spot, and I'm gonna tell you, I had a reaction. You know how I get sometimes when I be like, when I have my reaction, and I ran. So it was this one part in the trailer where they was, going through the trailer and everything. They come inside this bar. Right behind the bar is a Cheyron. A Cheyron is the people from Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, Loki and Bill. Now, I know for a fact it's only two Cheyrons left. They still fighting down on the planet, trying to electrocute each other and set fire to each other. That's it. So you trying to tell me then that we got a Cheyron that's inside Section 31's movie, right? And how much you want to bet they try to explain to me that that's not Loki or Bill? Now, if that's the case, I had to rant for about a good 2 to 5 minutes each time I got to that part. But after I got through that, fine. Now, that being said, they should never have made it a movie. It should have been a series.
Mm.
Yep, never. It should never. And the series should have been focused. It should have focused around. You remember in Deep Space Nine where Bashir and O'Brien was inside Sloan's brain?
Yeah.
Right. And O'Brien was trying to get Bashir to put down all those files, and Bashir was naming, oh wow, they had something to do with this right here and this right here and this right. Okay, they should have focused the series on those events that Bashir was finding inside Sloan's brain. That should have been the series right there. And at the end of each of the episodes, or at the end of each series, all they clandestine against the optimism and stuff of the Federation rules and regulations that we're normally accustomed to, they should have put at the end of each one of those the reason why this benefited Starfleet or the Federation or something. Like, okay, well, we had to do this because this saves these many lives at this colony right here and la la la, but now it's just a movie with fallout, like Star Trek Undercover, Star Trek what was it with Tom Cruise? Star Trek Mission Impossible. And now it's kind of like that to me.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking forward to it. Yes, I am.
All right, last subject for tonight. For Deep Space Nine, of course. Let's talk a bit of the romantic couples that are in Deep Space Nine, and started, of course, with Worf and Jadzia.
Worf is the man. People talk about Kirk. People talk about Riker. No. Worf is the. Let me tell you something. Worf done been with Kalar. He done been with Troy. He done been with Ezri. He done been with Jadzia. Man, Worf done been with like multiple dimension Troys. Look, Worf is the man. That being said, I loved his relationship with Jadzia.
Yeah, me too.
Loved it.
Me too.
I love their actions. I love the fun that they had. I love the fun that Jadzia was able to have at Worf's expense. I loved everything about. I love the child. I love the little girl that Jadzia was able to become whenever she was around him. It was just awesome.
Yeah, I love that relationship as well. It's I also like when they had sex and then they had to go to Bashir, and Bashir said, "Do I want to know?"
Now you know it's fun when you got to report to sick bay after every time. That's fun right there. We got broke bones, bites, bruises. It's awesome. And Jazeel was a G. She was able to roll with it.
Oh yes.
She's like, look.
She could handle Worf.
Yes, and she loved her some Worf.
Yeah.
Like she loved Worf. And Worf loved him some Jadzia.
Oh yes. what about Odo and Luxana?
Look, let me tell you. Odo's only wife, right? Odo's only wife. See, a lot of people think that might be Kira. Nope. He didn't. He didn't marry Kira in canon. He did marry Luoxana though.
Yes.
First of all, Luoxana, that was such an. I didn't think that would work, but knowing Luoxana Troy the way that I do,
Mm-hmm.
she is such a groovy person. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
she could get. I haven't known anybody's walls she wasn't able to get past with her charisma and her love. She's just one of the most loving people. Just the happiest, loving person. Even when she shares, her dark side, her, that it is done because she's so loving, and to have that breakthrough, even Odo's walls. Come on, man, that was just them in that elevator was awesome.
Yes. Yes. I wanted to mention that. Yeah. But
She
they
took off her
are.
wig, talked all change shapes.
Yeah.
Well, what? Go on, Roxana, do your thing.
Yeah. What about Cisco and what's her name? Um,
Cassidy.
Cassidy. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I love me some Cassidy. Cassidy is a beautiful woman. That's okay. Cassidy is a capable woman. She is a roller. She owns her own freight ship, got her own crew, runs it, does things off the books. She's great. She also loves her some Cisco and she loves her some Jake. It's never been a problem.
Yes.
It's look, even when she went to jail, she came back and was like, look, we pick back up where we left off. Your son hooked me up with you. Yeah, I agree with him. I'm gonna protect him just as if he's my own son. That's her. She's awesome.
Yeah. I love that
I
about
love.
her. I had to get used to them together because
Mhm.
in the first place I didn't think they were good for each other. But
Me.
it grows on me, especially with Jake because, like you said, she Jake was like a son to her,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I
Yep.
liked about it.
She was. I was about to say, and it was such an unlikely match, but
Yes.
the way that they put her in, you like, okay, well, they didn't try to force her in, a shoehorn, or try to make her take the place of Jennifer. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? She was still respectful of all of that. It was yeah. They did an outstanding job with it.
But also, like, and I think that was one of the problems that was in one of the episodes, is that the struggle of the woman being at home and the
Mm-hmm.
traditional roles,
Mm-hmm.
and her going out and being this freighter captain and just doing the same things that Benjamin does. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah, and then a check on me in a minute. Hey man, don't forget I'm still a captain. I'm captain of my own stuff, man. Don't get it
Hmm.
twisted now. You're like, okay, never mind. All right, come and go as you please. Yeah, yeah, it was cool. And it also made it that she was not as she just what she wasn't as there was nobody perfect on this show.
No.
Everybody had you know, and including her because like I said, she got arrested for helping smuggle stuff. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like of course she afraid of Captain. That's she ain't start a fleet. We gonna get caught smuggling in now and then. All right. But she still took it like a champ. Hey, I got caught. Look, all right. I'll see you later. We'll do this when I get out. Yeah, I like their relationship too, man. She was awesome. She was a great addition.
And what about Lita and Rom?
Talk about unlikely.
Yes,
Look,
exactly.
I mean, first few episodes, first few times with them, right? I was thinking to myself, I wonder how many bars of gold press platinum did Ron have to come up off of for this Dabo girl right here. But no, Lita was she
She
was sweet.
actually
Lita was
lost him. Yeah.
yeah, she
Because
was
that was
sweet.
the weird thing too with Lida and Bashir. When they were together, I was thinking, what the hell, you know? They don't.
No chemistry. They had absolutely no chemistry.
Yep, yep.
I just had to say that.
Okay. Is there anything else you like to talk about?
Well, I would just like to say that for anybody who has not watched, for some strange reason, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, or for some strange reason has only watched a few episodes here and there, I hope that the awesomeness of this conversation right here, this gathering of friends and Star Trek lovers and Trekkies, then motivated you guys to just put it on at the Emissary Part 1 and go all the way to the end. And you guys will love it.
Okay, well, thank you, Tommy, to joining me to talk about Deep Space Nine.
Yes,
And
as always. I love
we
it.
had a lot of fun, as always.
As always, yes.
So, thank you again, and I will talk to you soon about another Star Trek recap or Star Trek subject, of course. But of course, we never will stop talking about Star Trek.
Hey, Trek Cannon, the Guardian of Forever, is always available.
Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family. Trekking Around is to listen on Anchors, Spotify, Amazon Music, on the Facebook group and YouTube channel. I also like to remember you that I still have 2 other podcasts with Trek episodes. They called The Dutch Ready Room and Orinda Talks. The Dutch Ready Room is a Dutch Trek podcast, and Orinda Talk is an all geek podcast that covers from books to movie and series to video games. Although I don't make episodes anymore for these podcasts, you still can listen and comment on the episodes on the YouTube channel or Facebook group. See you next time. Live long and prosper.